Could you take, there's a deck at the desk, which is the 5 of hearts up. Can you bring it up? So we don't have to shuffle this one. Okay. 1,000. What do you say? I will make it. Yeah, will you take this one?
You're all in done. Yeah, that was a little bit easier for me than that. Already. Yeah, no, brilliant. Good stuff. It'll be good. It's going to be a good week.
Oh, she sent it to me. Yeah, okay, I'll
Alright, only the first one.
This is good.
all 4 of you on the head. Okay, I'll let you know. I think I've got your feet.
Yeah. 15. Next win, king wins. King wins.
The race of greens now as well.
What?
Greens are coming up as well. Because we need them for the stacks as well. There's no 1500 on there. Go straight to 2000.
500 too?
20.
Okay, take it.
$25.
Yeah, but say there's nothing wrong with
Five? Yeah. We don't have 5 anymore. Oh, we don't care. 5. Five again. That's alright. 2,000.
2.
So, let's make it better. Hey! Where's the juice of play?
$10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 47, 48,
15.
50. There we go. take anything else off? Yep, we can. 100%. 100.
What's the color of this?
100. 80.
Yeah, but he doesn't have chips left. He has no chips.
We need them for tomorrow.
Okay.
Other people have chips, it's fine.
Take this one too, though, eh?
Yeah, take them.
Not, yeah.
60.
I have to leave some more. That should be good, should be good. 40 more? Sir, please can you step up from the table, please? Thank you. Come here. It's 2 cards. Here you go.
What blinds do you?
No, it's the final table is opening right now, so you have to
Draw the button and
pick
tap.
and
And blinds?
and you 6, 12, 1,
6, 12, 1. Okay. Okay.
Actually, it's a 20-minute block. So players are getting.
Yo. No idea. I just sit so.
Got told to stand up like 2 minutes ago.
No idea. If you have some sort of break or you just start now.
We just had 10 minutes, yeah. It's like pretty much are they all in or they're coming in or that'd be nice.
Double up, didn't you? Did you? The blinds are you got this nice.
Do you want the rough what chip stacks you have? Can I get you to do?
Oh, it's a bit, do I have to? It's a bit embarrassing.
You can just whisper it if you're there. You don't have to tell everybody.
Just whisper to her.
It can be dangerous to stack on.
What dangerous you haven't got any?
Danger.
Should I draw for a button? See date? 6.
Okay. Oh, hello, Chris. Thank you, Chris. How did you go?
Right, guys, going to be just quickly.
You won it.
Just listen up so you know. Okay, guys, you're going to be on the live stream. It goes via YouTube, which means it's recorded on YouTube. You're so close in the I put the link up on our Facebook group. It's also on the apac.com/live, and you can find it on our APAC channel on YouTube itself. Sorry, everything is recorded on YouTube. You guys can play it back and watch it after. Like on that camera, we'll pick up everything you say at the table. Also, when I'm going around with a hand count, we'll pick up what you say at the table. That is recorded for everyone. That's all I need to say. Enjoy it. Good luck to you, all right?
Guys, sorry, I just want a quick final table picture, right? I'm going to ask you guys to come around this way because this is in the way. So if you could stay seated, would you mind going around behind these guys? No, I can't. All this is in the way, mate. It doesn't look as good. Thank you. Buddy, would you mind just going around there?
Did I go wrong way?
Go you around there.
So, welcome back to Manchester for the final event of the day. The
Come on, Lucy, get it.
players are busy just quickly lining up for a team photo.
3, 2, 1. Lovely, thank you very much, guys.
On the what?
Best of luck to you all. I took 3 in that time, boys.
Oh, you did?
So, as I say, this is event number 12. It's the No Limit Hold'em Championship. We've got 9 players remaining. All these guys are already in the money. Give you a rundown who we've got. Seat 1, James Goddard. Seat 2, Mohamed Tijani. Seat 3, Ian Zalowski. Seat 4, Marku Tomisto. Seat 5 is David Griffiths. Seat 6, Gary Jackson. Seat 7, Stephen Coley. Seat 8, Marcin Rejmak. In Seat 9 is Matthew Telfer. Maybe Matt. Would you prefer Matt? Matt is good. Matt's back. All right. I'll change it on the screen as well. You prefer Matt? Give me the chips. So we've got so seat 1 is James Goddard, who is the short stack with 20,000. Mohammed's got 260,000. Big chip leader. Ian has 55,000. Marku has 80,000. David has 84,000. Gary 87,000. Stephen 91,000. Marcin has 78,000, and Matt Telfer second in chips with 119,000. All quite close, apart from our chip leader and short stack actually. So this should be good. Thanks very much, Lucy, for that. So I'm just going to head over to the screen, find out what these guys are actually playing level-wise. We're in level 16, 5 minutes after that. Blinds are 6,000, 12,000 with a running ante of 1,000. This makes a bit of a change because on the rail here is Adam Zalowski, actually railing his dad for a change. Normally it's the other way around, Adam, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
That's the way it's, he doesn't even really play anymore, does he?
No. He's admitted I'm better than him, so he's given up, I think.
He's given up excellent. Well, he's in the money and aiming for a bracelet, as the other 8 are as well. So all in the call, King 10 against Ace Jack, and the boards run out King High, and that is going to mean a double up for our short stack. James in seat 1, bottom left of your screen, against Marcin, who's in the blue hoodie on the right hand side of your screen. Double up for our shorty, very much needed that because he was the short stack at the table.
My head's not working. So when the turn came, I thought you were gone. I thought it was a straight for him.
James made the shove from under the gun +1, and Marcin made the call out of the big blind, which isn't going to cost him that much. Say the blinds are 6,000, 12,000 with a running ante of 1,000. So we're playing quite shallow stacks here actually. Average stack is 96,000. So it's pretty much 8 big blinds.
No whole card.
So Marcin's all in and gets snap called by Matt. Marcin has ace jack of hearts and it's ace king. It's going to be the ace jack at risk here. And it's 10 king queen for the flop Broadway for marching, and 5 brings out another club. Needs to avoid a club on the river. And does. And marching gets a double up through Matt. Just going to get a quick count on that. I genuinely have never seen anybody look so miserable about getting a double up as Marcin looks at the table at the moment. I said I've never seen anyone look so miserable about getting a double up. Just a couple of minutes left of this level, level 16. So, another all in, and this time it is Gary. And he's going to get called by seat 1 James, and it's pocket 8s for James, and it's ace 7 for Gary. It's going to be the 8s at risk here, so. And 8 ace 3 is pretty strong flop for the 8s. 6 no good, and it's going to be a double up for who was our short stack starting this table, and he's had 2 double ups now, and this puts him very much back up in the pack. So just running down the, you can see the prize pools on the right hand side of the screen for you at home. Min cash now is 120, then it goes 140, 175, 225, 305, 410, and then the bronze medal place will pick up 590, silver medal will pick up 900, and the gold medal winner will pick up 1,370, plus the all-important WCOAP bracelet. So round we go, Ian Twatt first, he folds. As does Marku, and as does David, and not, I guess unsurprisingly, Gary is all in. And Stephen folds, as does Swindon. We're just round, just getting a count. Small blinds ask for a count, which is James, and he's 42, and he's made the call, and Mohammed's going to get out of the way. So it's going to be ace 9 for James, and it's queen jack for Gary, and it's the queen jack that's at risk. And it's 8, 6, 3. That's no help for Gary. Needs a queen or a jack. An ace is going to do for him, and we're going to lose Gary in 9th place. Very well played to him.
Go around the table. Okay.
I thought you were short stack.
Who said that?
We have a new blind. 816 to 816 2. No, it's just tempo. Turbo. Yeah.
78,000. No, it's 77. Oh, 78.
Dave Griffiths all in. And just a big blind of Ian to get through. Ian gives a sigh, has a little look at the clock. Ian, left-hand side of your screen. And he folds. David takes back his chips and adds blinds and antes to his stack.
Miał coś. Nie miał. English at table. That was Yorkshire English.
It's an Edinburgh accent.
You didn't catch
You
that.
will not understand.
Interestingly, I caught what you said afterwards, but not what you said yet.
It won't happen again.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah. Just busy counting. Can't afford to waste time on this clip.
Sebastian? Janek?
Owen?
May I ask for another drink?
We only buy for you coffee if you want.
No, vodka and Red Bull. That was only like 5k more.
I understood that.
I think they did not.
Coffee, Martin, coffee.
What he said was, could you go and get him a coffee?
Yeah, that's what he said. I thought it was a tea.
Without milk.
I'll call them phones from that.
So it's Ian on the button this time, which means it's Marco in the small blind, Dave Griffiths in the big blind. So it's going to be Stephen to act first, and he folds. Round we go. Marching folds. Round to Matt, seat 9. Matt says them all in. And asking for a count from seat 1, which is James.
47,000.
And 47,000 is the count. And he makes the call for 47,000. Mo gets out the way. Round to the button of Ian.
Drinking that only tonight. Only today and Wednesday. Amazing that. It's been lucky first time.
Ian folds, Marky folds, and David folds. So cards on the back. It's ace queen for James, and it's ace 3 for Matt. It's going to be the ace 3 at risk. So here comes the flop. And it's 2, 4, 8, which gives Matt a little bit more of an option. Ace on the turn doesn't really change anything. It's going to need a 3 or a 5. And king's no good, and we're going to lose Matt in 8th place.
Hey, well, yeah, run. There you go.
Which way around there was it? Still one, I think. I didn't fancy his chances when you called him. I thought he's a man on form, this guy.
Right time to come on a heater, right?
Absolutely. No good doing it when the blinds are 25.50, is it?
Seven.
Special water for you.
So then there were 7. And our short stack in seat 1 has made a pretty decent start to this final table.
All in.
Marching is all in. And folding all the way around. Dave Griffiths in the small, so it's just going to be Stephen in the big. He folds and Marching gets that through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, scholar. Oh, sorry, I just have to drink. Just a drink. I asked Wood to get the water.
All in.
So round we go. Dave Griffiths is all in from the button, just the blinds to get through. Stephen gets out of the way. Decision for Marching in the big blind. And David says it's 86,000.
Can't believe I found that.
And he folds pocket 3s.
USB on.
No, I'm not sure that.
And David picks up the blinds and antes again. So on we go. Stephen's button this time, which means we'll be Marching in the small blind and James in the big blind. Which means it'll be Mohammed to at first at seat 2. Headphones on, bottom left of your screen. So Mohammed raises it up to 32,000. Ian folds, Marker folds. Round we go to David, top of your screen, centre, and he folds. Stephen gets out of the way, and there's Marching. So just James in the big blind to go. And he's going to fold. And Mohammed will get that one through. First pot I think he's won on this final table.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. Yeah.
I've had some decent inflation.
No.
Yeah, the freezer.
This, yeah. Ja bym wygrał wolno.
So on we go. Blinds 8,000, 16,000 with a running ante of 2,000. Level 17 these guys are on. 7 players remaining. Minimum cash now is guaranteed at £175. Still the 1,370 up top. So it's going to be Mohammed in a small blind, Ian in a big blind, which means we Marku to act first. He folds. And gets out of the way. Stephen gets out of the way. Marchin folded because he wasn't there. And it's a bet out from James on the button. Makes it 32,000. And Mohammed folds. Decision for Ian in the big blind. What's he going to do? So a couple of these decisions where people have been betting into his blinds. Is this the time he's going to make a stand? He's a fairly short stack now at the table. I'd suggest him and Marku are probably the 2 shortest stacks. Then followed by Stephen and Stephen. Then it's Marchin and David, who are quite close together, and the 2 chip leaders are in seat 1 and 2. And Ian makes a fold. And James shows ace king. And Ian gets a pat on the back from his rail, saying nice fold. I think they might have seen the cards that he had.
I apologise for
your
yes.
turn to fold.
So the dealer's just pointed out that Marchin really should have waited until actually it was his turn to act before then leaving the table. It is probably my biggest pet hate in the game of poker that players do that. But I could sense that Marchin was very desperate to relieve himself. No, what would you? So he apologised for that. March is a very, very experienced player. Played APAC for a very, very long time. He knows his stuff. And Mark is all in, and James has made a call, and it's 8-9 for Marku, and it's ace-6 for James. It's the 8-9 that's at risk here. Let's see the flop. And there's an 8 on the flop with a king and a jack, so that puts Marku ahead. Queen means an ace or a 10 would now see Marku exit. And it's a deuce, so it's going to be a double up for him. Double up through James. James is unused to this on the final table. Basically, he's just been stacking up other people's chips so far since we started. Now he's had to pace them out. So on we go. It's Ian's button this time, which means it'll be Marco in the small blind, David in the big blind, and Steve's all in from under the gun. First bit of real action from him. Let's see. Marchin folds, and James folds, and Mohammed from seat 2 says, I'm all in. Still got action to come. Ian folds. Marku does, just David to act then in the big blind, and he folds, so we've got an all in the call. And it's ace-6 for Stephen. And it's king-queen of diamonds for Mohammed. Can we get that in there? You can get them on the screen. You've got very bottom. Yeah, so there is. So it's the ace-king that's at risk here. Here we go. And ace-jack 3 puts Mohammed even more ahead, but there's opportunities now for Mohammed. Stephen's ahead. Another diamond means Stephen needs to avoid a diamond or a 10. And ace on the river means he's going to get a double up. There we go. So Stephen, top right of the screen, busy now, stacking up some chips. Happy days. There you go. We got a smile out of him in the end. Yeah, there we go.
Change dealer, good luck.
Thank you.
So we've got to change a dealer. Thank you very much, dealer.
Thank you. Right on. Oh.
And we welcome back the dealer whose name I'm not allowed to mention because he doesn't like me mentioning his name.
That's right.
Even though he's got a name tag with it on, but I'm not allowed to say it on the stream.
Yeah, B is good. B is good.
He is the dealer known as B. So on we go. So it's Mark Ewan's button this time, so it's David in the small blind, Stephen in the big blind, which means it'll be marching to act first. He's going to fold round. We go to James, seat 1. Currently our chip leader, I think. Yeah. Yeah. From 0 to hero on this final table so far. He's folded. Mohammed makes it 40,000. Round we go to Ian. And Ian's all in. This is him making his stand. Marky folds. Blinds to get through. David folds. And Stephen folds. So all in the call on the feature table. So it's pocket jacks for Mohammed. And it's jack 9 for Ian. There we go, perfect. So the jack 9's at risk. Not in very good shape. Let's go. We're going to see the flop. And it's 3-4-2. Really looking for chopping opportunities. Ace brings it up there. A 5 will do it, and it's not there. And we're going to lose Ian in 7th place position. Very well played to him. Mohammed adds a few chips back to the stack after doubling Stephen up a couple of hands ago.
I gave you 37,000 and you get it back.
What, another 37, not for Chica?
And you get a smile on you, yeah?
I saw you before we sat down.
So on we go, 6-handed. So we're now up to level 18. Blinds are 10,000, 20,000 with a running ante at 2,000. So blinds 10,000, 20,000 with a running ante 2,000. We've got 6 players left. So average stacks now. Average stacks 145,000, which is pretty much 7 bigs, so still playing very, very shallow here. Marchin is all in from the small blind, and James has really tightened up because he's folded 7-7-3. I think if it had been suited, he might well have made the call there. But so on we go.
Ian, that's gonna be on Facebook tomorrow. Doing my best, Alex. I'll look you.
So David Griffiths is all in. Stephen folds, Marchin folds. Round we are to the blinds, and they both get out of the way. So David adds blinds and antes to his stack once more. Fairly regular occurrence, me saying that.
No playing through the screen. Cards, there's no cards. Turn the flop camera off.
Check the battery, eh? Not that we'll be here that long.
Well, if every all in the short stack is
Really
lost,
see this taking massive amounts of time. Say they're playing so shallow, it literally is. It's regular amounts of all-ins, and eventually the short stack's going to run all-ins against bigger stacks prepared to call, and we're going to see action. And it's Stephen who's all in this time. And folds all the way round, and he takes that one down. Again, blinds and antes added to his stack.
All in. Right, all in. You move over stuff, please. Thank you.
So Stephen adds more chips again.
Yeah, sure. What, 1,000?
I just throw it there.
So on we go. Marku's button this time, which means it's Dave Griffiths in the small blind, which means it's going to be Stephen in the big blind. Blinds 10,000, 20,000 with a running ante of 2,000. Which means it's Marchin to act first. He folds. Round we go to James. He folds. Mohammed. And he raises it up to 42,000. And Mark has gone all in. David folds. Stephen folds. And it's going to be a call. All in the call on the feature table. And it's ace queen for Marku, and it's jack 9 for Mohammed. It's the ace queen that's at risk. Here we go. And 9, 6, 7 puts Mohammed ahead. It's going to need to be an ace or a queen for market. Ace on the turn. Just needs to avoid a jack or a 9. And he does that, and he's going to get a double up.
You did change. Best of luck.
No change of dealer. We say goodbye to B. And we welcome Jack to the table.
Hi.
First time I think we've seen Jack on the feature table this week. Probably won't be the last. So on we go. David's button this time. So Stephen in small blind, Martin in the big blind, which would be James at seat 1 to act first. Which he does by folding. And Mohammed said them all in at seat 2. Marky folds. Dave Griffiths and David folds. Just the blinds to get through then. Stephen first. And he folds, as does Marchin. So Mohammed gets it through, picks up the blinds and the antes. And the PLO Cash Championship Day 1's just finished, so we are last tournament of the night. All in.
Everybody's passed.
So Stephen adds antes and blinds again. Still six-handed. Antes and blinds
New deck,
comes to
table.
42,000. We're just calling for a new deck.
Some coolers away.
Marching on the button this time, which means small blind for James, big blind from Hammer. Just with Marco to act first, top left of your screen. And he folds. There we go to David Griffiths.
Not quite.
And he's going to fold. And Stephen makes a call, 20,000. So James makes up the small blind, and we're going to see a flop without anyone being all in. This is quite unusual, and it's deuce ace 5. 3 players in the hand.
We've got average is 7 bigs. That's not funny. It's not funny. Martin, you're right. It's not blind. Martin, you're right. It's not funny. It's kind of funny.
James bets out. Mohammed folds and Stephen folds. So James adds to his stack.
Everyone's there. You've got the skills. Skills to pay the bills. Thank you, Steve.
I still want to see that ace then.
All in.
How far you go?
Fold.
So David Griffiths once again adds the blinds and antes to his set.
Yeah. They all know, Dave. They all know. If they don't, then
Big blind.
Mohammed's button this time, so it's Marco in the small blind, David in the big blind, which means it'll be Stephen to act first. He folds. Marchin is all
We're all
in.
in.
So James is fold. Mohammed's having to think about this on the button in seat 2. He folds as well. Marco does.
I'm gonna look now.
And David says I'm going to have a look now.
Showdown, please.
It's all in. All in the call on the feature table, and it's ace deuce for Martin against 10-8. Ace deuce at risk. Ace and a deuce on the flop. And that's safe. And it's going to be a double up for Martin. Looks really happy about it.
I got 7 big blinds now.
What's the antes? You want to go now or you?
Well, where's Terry?
He's going out from the comment.
We'll see you up when all right, I will. I'm not thanks. I'm not. The Polish guys are just taking me home, aren't they?
I think they've run out of levels, so I didn't think we were still going this fucking time.
We're all in.
Martin's all in.
Well, true. Oh, that works. Let's go, Martin. Hold on.
And he gets it through and shows ace, ace 10.
Looks cross.
Nobody, as soon as somebody at the desk, I'll go mention it. You don't need to go pay your head, does it really? I think it's enough.
For Lee, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you not want to be doing? Because what I'm getting is 12.
Here's the players have an amazing experience.
You had this. Never happened before.
Let's go marching.
David in the small blind, David on the button, Stephen in the small blind, Marchant in the big blind, and James has raised it up to 60,000. And it goes fold, 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 and James scoops.
See you tomorrow?
See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Good luck. Cheers, boys. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Take it easy, guys. Champion, sorry.
I wanna play that. I just that. Let's play something different. I hope. I call. Call.
So Marchant makes up the small blind. James says I'm all in. Marchant folds.
And of you want some support because they are crap. So I'm happy to give you all of them.
Come on, Martin.
Marchant's offering his rail to anybody else on the table that wants them. Rail for hire. We'll travel for beers. Yeah.
All in?
So David's all in. Very quick fold from Stephen, Marchant, and James does the same. Just Mohammed in the big blind. And he folds as well. And David scoops the pot. Just to give it a different description.
Blinds are up. 15,000, 30,000,
Oh,
3,000
really?
answer.
Say rise and take.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So clock's back working again, and blinds are now 15,000, 30,000 with a running ante of 3,000. So we've gone up another level, level 19 now. Average stack is 145,000, aka 4.5 big blinds. And Jack really wants to laugh at that. So James on the button, Mohammed in the small blind, Marco in the big blind, and decision is on David Griffiths under the gun. He folds. Round we go to Stephen.
All in?
And he's all in. And Marchant folds. James folds just the blinds to get through. And he folds just Marco in the big blind. Marcus says I'm all in as well. All in call on the feature table. It's 9-3 for Marco, and it's ace-8 for Stephen. They're quite close on chips, actually. Here we go then. So it's Queen, King 3, which puts Marco ahead. 9 on the turn. It's going to need to be a ace or 8, and it's not there. And it's 2 pair. Queens and 9s is going to be good enough for Marco. We're just going to get a count on that.
Don't take my big man, okay? Calculate the left.
63.
1,000 is the count for Marco. Actually, not as close as I thought it was. So it's a double up for Marco, but leaves Stephen very, very much on fumes. So next hand is going to see Mohammed's button, Marco on this small blind, David in the big blind, which means it's going to be Stephen to act first under the gun. With the blinds at 15,000, 30,000. And he's playing about, might be 30, 32, 32,000 I think. So it's either going to be this hand or next hand, I think. And it's going to be this hand. In goes Stephen for what we think was 32,000, yeah. That was the count. So it's folded round. Just got the button and the blinds to get through.
32.
Mohammed says I call 32,000, which means it's 2,000 more to David Griffiths on the big blind. So he's going to flick in the 2. So with 3 players, there's still action to follow with Mohammed and David. As potential pot for Stephen gets put in front of him. And the board comes down 9-3-8. It's gone check from David.
All in.
And Mohammed says them all in, and David very quickly folds.
Showdown, please.
So Stephen shows ace 10, and Mohammed's got 10-8, so he's hit middle pair. It's going to need to be an ace or a jack, and it's not there, and we're going to lose. We're going to lose Stephen in 6th place. Very well played to him. He exits in 6th, picking up £225 for his troubles.
Made a mistake then, you know. In my head, I thought I was going to put.
You almost fought to cash.
I almost, because I thought I was going to put 32,000 more. My hand was so bad. I thought I was going to put 32. I nearly folded, honest to God. If he didn't say on there,
just a 2 extra.
Honest to God, I was going to fold. I thought I had to put 32 more.
That would be a mistake.
Yeah.
Small blind, please.
That would be a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. But I nearly made it. It's late at night.
Also anti.
It's late at night, I'm tired.
Five-handed now. Min cash guaranteed now at £305 for the 5 remaining players. And David Griffiths is all in from the small blind. 75,000 is the count. It's another 45,000 for marching in the big blind. And he makes a call.
Showdown, please.
So all in the call on the feature. And it's 8-9 for David, and it's 7-3 of diamonds for marching, and it's the 8-9 at risk. And it comes down 3-4-9, so top pair and for bottom pair, another 9 on the turn, and that's going to see a double up. Fills the boat on the river. Double up for David.
Yes, cut him there. Half inch to cut.
Shot. 75?
75.
So that puts David up to 150,000 now, which is 5 bigs. Oh, plus a little bit more. 5 bigs plus some change.
Final table. Set your king. Just bingo. Bingo.
So David's in the on the button this time, which means he's marching in small blind. James in the big blind. So folded round. Marchin's all in on the small blind. It's team one, and James says the calls, all in the call, and it's ace king of spades for James. It's jack 8 of clubs for Marchin. It's the jack 8 that's at risk. Here we go, and it's 5 deuce 6 with 2 spades. 9. It's going to need to be a jack or an 8. It's not a spade, and it's not. And we're going to lose Marchin in 5th place. Very well played to him, picking up £305. Go four-handed.
I'm in October. September, I'm going to say. You told me. No, but you're retired.
Flop.
I know.
10-3-3. I don't know what you're going to do now.
What, 5?
Board is 10-3-3 here, and interesting hand with James and Mohammed. And James has fired out a bet of 45,000, and Mohammed folds. So James adds to that stack. Very much our chip leader now at this table. With the other three reasonably even. I think James is probably playing about 390, nearly 400,000 of the 870,000 in play. All in the call. Ace 3 versus Queen 10. Ace 3 at risk. And it's 6-7-7. King brings out 2 diamonds, which is good for the Ace 3, and a 5. And Marku's going to get a double up.
There's a medal sweat for me there. Oh, went the wrong way. No, I didn't know. No, it's this gentleman here.
He's going to double up through our what was our chip leader. $29,000 was the count for Marku.
Thought I was hitting them.
So on we go. Mohammed's on the button this time. Marku in the small blind. David in the big, which means it'll be James to act first. Out of seat 1. Bottom left of your screen with the light grey hoodie on. So James folds, Mohammed folds, which means it's blind on blind. So Marku says I'm all in from the small blind. Decision for David in the big blind, he folds. And Marku shows ace 9.
Yeah, quite a lot. It's a break at the end of the level, so.
Let's just carry on.
Guys, you a break at the end of the level. Do you want to or just want to play on it?
I'm happy to play on.
Anybody want the break? No? No, right, we'll play.
If it goes on for ages, I might just want like a 2-minute break, like, just to run to the toilet. Okay, that's fine.
I'll get it.
All in?
So Mohammed's all in and gets that through the blinds.
Nah, but I didn't want to call it, then you call it right. Yeah. To be honest, I'm happy for both of you to call me that.
Take care. See you soon, Ian.
See you tomorrow, guys. Yeah. Right, all.
So James is all in from the small blind, and Mohammed folds big, and round we go again. So it'll be David to act first.
99,000.
And David's all in for what he declares is 99,000. And James makes a call from the button. So all in the call. and it's 6-9 of hearts for David. It's against ace queen of James. It's going to be the 6-9 that's at risk. And flop comes king 4 king. No good for David. He's going to need to hit a 9 or a 6, and 3 is no good for him. 6 on the river is good for him. Is good for him. So he's going to get a double up, which is actually going to put him pretty much now on average stack. Not just a tiny bit more than that, actually. Quickly this has turned. It's gone from James and Mohammed were our chip leaders, and they're now both our shorter stacks at the table. Yeah. But with the blinds where they are, it's yeah, it's pretty much the way this is going. So James folds. Mohammed says them all in. Marky folds. And David folds.
We're still at 99,000 on the snap called you.
I know. Right after that 90.
No, we're definitely with the snap call with anything really. That's fine.
So on we go.
$200K, I've never had this many chips all night.
That was a 10 one chip on the board, isn't it?
200K, that's 20 starting stacks. Once it's 3 starting stacks for the.
So Mohammed folds, Marky folds, just blind on blind. Then it's David in the small blind. He folds, and James gets a walk and shows 8-4. So I think we'll just get one more hand in before the levels go up.
You just be upset. If you'd had a look at his aces, you'd be upset.
Pressure. Pressure. All over it. I have told him to catch this way.
Lewis! I'll tell him what. Come on.
Ant's got it. Ant's got it. I'm all in. All in?
So James says them all in. Out the small blind.
Come on, Mo!
And Mo makes the call, and it's ace-king for James. It's ace-7 for Mo. They're quite close on stacks, actually. I think it's going to be the ace-king. I think it's the ace-king that's at risk here. And it's Jack, 8, deuce. And another 8, so possible chops, or a 7 is going to help, and 3 is not going to be any good, and going to get a quick count up. 180,000.
You just text me and say, look, it wasn't a big that 6.
Yeah, I was so. Good evening or good morning to Vince, watching the stream, following David. Nice to know there's somebody at home watching. So I have a feeling Mo pretty much is going to be all in this hand. He's in the small blind and has got about 10, 15, 18,000 behind. So pretty much he's going to go in this hand. It's just whether there's going to be any action before. It's going to be David to act first. And he folds. James on the button.
I can't tell you.
And James makes the call. So Mo is all in for just under a big blind, which means decision option is on Marky.
I've just called you. Just called you.
40. It's 40 now.
This is less.
Yeah, the big blind is 40 now.
Sorry, Marcus says.
Check. So
The big blind, yes, it's 15. It's 30.
Oh, you
The
need to
big
put
blind
10
is
more
40
in.
now.
Sorry, I should have put 30 in. That's my fault, actually.
No, the blind's
The blind is 40.
Yeah,
I saw that and put 40 in my bag.
I thought it was 30.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
How much is it? 10, 20, 30,
Can I
33.
raise it to 40?
14.
No, the 40 is the bet.
40 is the bet. 40 is just a call. 14 on the side. So do I just call 30? No, it's 40.
no, 40 is right. Yeah. So that's
You can win that.
that's Mo's pots sat in front of him. And we've got side action with James and Marku, and the board comes out Queen, Jack 7-5, not single queen there at all, with 2 clubs. And James makes a bet, and James shows Jack 3, all in the call, and Mo has a 10-6, going to need to hit runner. He's got the hearts though, so he's got the one heart. Actually, so's James, so. That's going to be it, and we're going to lose Mo. We're going to lose Mo in 4th place. Very well played to him.
Dead button.
One of the shortest on the table start.
He was the shortest. Oh, don't put them out. Put pressure on us. Put pressure on us. Do you win that? Yeah. Bracelet for the winner and a gold medal. Silver, whoever's next gets bronze.
And David gets the bronze.
Oh,
mate.
so painful. Like a dagger in my heart, that was tough. Just for that, I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to grind it out.
So bracelets and medals are now on the table as we're now 3-handed.
80.
Say blinds are 20,000, 40,000 with a running ante of 4,000. And James has folded effectively on the button, even though it's a dead button. And Marku has min raised it.
I'd have played tighter if I knew we were getting it.
And David says I'm all in.
More.
Another 114,000.
194 total. 194 total. 114 more.
And Marku makes the fold. It was another 114,000 for Marku to make the call, and he's playing about 140,000 behind. So he's just raised up and lost about a third of his stack. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, stop here.
Yeah, Jack. No.
Take care, David. Yeah, catch you tomorrow, buddy.
Play it on you.
So from the button, Marku is all in. And David folds in the small blind.
Just over 130,000. So I need a pros to tell me what to do. Got absolute shit.
He's
under 30. It's 90 more.
30,000. It's 90 more, and Marcus shows the ace.
I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to there. Maybe I've got 2 live cards. Maybe I am supposed to.
I think if it's under 80k,
but at the same
two
time,
big blinds. I think if it's 80k more, you can't really fault, can you really?
So James is playing about 400,000. Marco's playing now nearly. Nearly 200. And David's got 258.
no, I'm talking about. I'm not going to fall
approximately.
Yeah, that's about right. Yep. Yep.
Small blind, please.
Trust me, James.
Already took your hand.
So yeah, so looking at it, James has about 10 bigs, and the other guys don't have that. So James is all in, and gets that through.
Thank you.
So there's still 72,000 in the middle every hand. There is 870,000 chips in play. So nearly 10% of the chips in play are in the middle pre-flop. Very, very shallow stacks here. But it was a 20-minute levels turbo championship, so it's inevitable that's going to happen. And David gets a walk. That is a victory of sorts. So on we go. Guys have got another 11 minutes left of this level. And it's Marco's button this time, David in the small blind, James in the big blind. Anyone just tuning in? Sounds crazy. But James bottom left of your screen, Marco top left of your screen, and David top centre. Here we go. Marco to act first. And he's going to fold. Blind on blind then. David says I'm all in. And James says a pass.
Oh. I'm not finding business with that. No fun. Might get through.
It's alright. Oh. Sorry.
So David's folded and James is all in from the small blind. Decisions on Marco in the big blind. Already got 40,000 in the middle. And Marco says I'm going to call. All in the call. And it's 9-3 for James, Jack 3 for Marco. It's the Jack 3 that's at risk. Queen King 5. A 9 on the turn. It's going to need to be a Jack or a 10, and it isn't there. And we're going to lose Marco in third place, picking up the bronze medal. Very well played to him.
Just the flop.
So you were small blind now, so you have to
Nice result.
set it up.
Come today, medal already. Hey, great to see you. Congratulations. Can I get a
No more antis, guys.
First guys, well played. Yeah, Team Sweden this is.
No more antes, just a blind.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It's 20 for you, 40k
Heads
for
up,
you.
so
Well, that's both for you guys.
heads up, so antes get dropped. Normally to speed the game up. To be honest, the game's quite quick.
Thanks very much, Phil. Well played. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Yeah, looking forward to it. Marco, you'll be in before the start, yes? You'll be in about half an hour before?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see how many you've got.
Do you like
Sorry,
the
I
stack
should
down?
put my. It looks a lot, but now I can see the pinks. I'm sure.
There is
We've
no
both
more
got two big stacks of pinks, but you're well in the lead, but not probably that much really.
Don't want to lose too many because we need a photo at the end.
Yeah.
Lovely. I hate whoever wins this have literally. Yeah, there you go. That's what I want.
David folds in the small blind, so James shows him ace king in the big blind.
I was playing blackjack, but I doubled down with
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome stuff. So on we go.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thanks.
You can see my chips all right, yeah?
Oh no, there you go. Short stack, isn't it? That's where you started.
So James has them all in. And David folds. So David's playing about 250 plus the 20 in the middle, so 270. There was 870,000 chips in play, so that would put James on, I'm going to roughly guess, about 600,000.
260 plus that.
270.
So it's pretty much a 2-to-1 chip lead. 2-to-1 chip lead.
Morning.
Price for it? Don't need to push.
So David's all in, and James passes. This is very much going to be a case of waiting for two hands to clash.
I can't believe I've run this deep, you know, because the structures, you know, and I've had like no chips the whole time. Really.
Yeah, a lot of luck comes in. Well,
Yeah.
luck really, isn't it?
Well, I got lucky with the 9-6 down.
Price for it?
James is all in, and David really tightened up and decides to fold 3 deuce offsuit.
I'm in it.
I'm pretty sure if they were suited,
Yeah.
they were in. Yeah, that's what I thought. Snap called. Yeah. Snap call with 3 deuce offs suited. Yeah.
I really want to raise some hands, but there's almost no point.
It's the trouble. This is the problem. The minute you put the bracelet on the table, yeah, players just change their play. Yeah, I mean that's the way it works. Yeah. So on we go. It's David in the small blind and James in the big blind. And I mean how bad is it? He's not even prepared to play 7 deuce suited. I mean, really, what a nit. And I can get away with saying that to you. Yeah.
If he's bothering, kick all the manager in the time.
So on we go.
I know it's true, that's the thing. I resemble that remark.
So David down to 250,000 now. And James passes in the small blind. So puts David up to 290,000. So David in the small blind. David says I'm all in. James says I call. All in the call. And James has got 10-8 and sorry, David has got 10-8. James has got King Jack. It's the 10-8 at risk. David's going to hit here. Ace Jack Jack is going to pretty much do it. Although a 9 on the turn makes it interesting. King on the river though, and we're going to have our winner. And it is James. Very well played to him. David's going to finish in second.
Sorry.
And David's going to finish in second place. But a very nice, a nice run there, David.
Yeah, I can't complain. I got really lucky to get that far, to be honest. Got lucky several times earlier on. Shoved in a few times with garbage and got away with it. And then I shoved all in with kings. I got called earlier on, so yeah, I just ran really well, so I can't complain. Happy, very happy.
Excellent stuff. Good stuff. Excellent stuff. So James is our winner. We're just going to sort out some photos for those guys. Very well done to them. So another dealer is about to enter the chip stacking competition. He is at a disadvantage, as Ant's just pointed out. He only has 2 colours to play with here. Let's see what he goes for. It's going to be really interesting. He's us definitely done from Manchester for the day. I hope you enjoyed that stream. We've ended up with our winner, James Goddard. Congratulations to him. David Griffiths in second place. And third place was Marku Tamisto, who's playing for Team Sweden later on in the week. We'll just leave the guys to get their photos sorted, winners' photos, and we'll see you for more streams from Manchester tomorrow. Thanks very much.
Just tip the medal forward for me, mate.
That's your seat for your picture, mate.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, that's really good.
Right, mate, I've just got to pull this table back because the lighting is no good.
You need that? Just literally, just slide it back that way.
Back about 3 feet.
Actually,
Steady.
literally, it's a slidey job. So, perfect.
Lovely.
There we
Thank
go.
you, guys.
Let's get the important bits
I
in
try
there
to
as
make
well.
it pretty.
Yeah. Get one on my phone as well. Is that all right?
Yeah,
of course we'll get one on your phone. Yeah, I mean Tom's a professional photographer. So yeah.
Kids now.
You are. Listen to that. The dealer's giving you a rub down, mate. Yeah.
Come on, I know you're trying your best.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Shocking, I'll tell you what, no, we'll just lose these two. So.
There's the camera when it's on.
All right, mate, I'll get one with your camera first. Do I touch the screen or the button?
The button, yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So can you sit back a fraction?
Yeah.
No, just to see what they're like. Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, lovely, mate. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Right,
I guarantee you the picture on your phone will be better than what he's about to take.
I'm not so sure. I'm very sure.
You're getting good at this, aren't you? Yeah.
Did you find this camera in
If you
your
would just
Easter egg?
move those.
If you just tilt them up ever so slightly, there you go.
My camera's amazing. That's it.
And would you just lift them up a bit, mate, and just sort of, yeah, lovely.
I think you should put on.
And look as if you're happy.
Oh, good one.
Okay, you got the full
Thank you.
calendar.
Appreciate
no?
that.
Jack, brilliant, buddy. That was enjoyable. Yeah, I know it was a bit rushy.
No, it's fine. No.
Hey, you went through what, the short stack?
Yeah, like 20k.
20k joining the table and goes on and wins it. That is
Yeah,
superb. Well done, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Very well done.
And I keep these, yeah? These are like
They're
for
yours.
keeps.
They're yours, my friend. You are an official world champion of amateur poker. So you've won
Something you have
event.
to show off.
You've won event number 12, which of the series this year. So that's it. So
Is there any chance you can email me the pictures? Is that?
they'll be on the Facebook. Are you on the Facebook group?
I'm not on Facebook.
Go on. Are you not on Facebook at all?
I am on Facebook, yeah.
Go on, just join the group on Facebook. Yeah. Go and join the group on there. We'll approve you straight away. And then all the photos today. You can also go on the website apac.com/forum, and you'll see the updates from there as well. And yeah, everything you want's there. Just come and join up. Yeah, it's free membership, and you're playing anything else later on the week, or?
I'm not. No, I came down actually just to play the normal tournament that they have here. And I joined really late. I joined in with about 15 people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have you got one of the schedule? And we're here till Sunday.
I've got one of the schedules. Yeah.
Well, you didn't join the page yet, man.
Some money to come in with now.
Buddy,
good stuff.
I don't know if you know, but starting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we have a champion of champions, which you've just qualified for.
Right.
It's a 50 plus 10 in. It's a straight no limit holding of event. And there's an added value of a trip to Vegas for the winner in it as well.
Right.
But there's no late reg.
What time does
it starts at 12?
12.
So if you're here and bought in before 12, you're good to go.
So it's 50 plus.
50 plus 10, because
how many's in? How many's in that?
There's probably about
29.
How many?
29.
I'll say there'll be 40.
About 40. Okay.
Free reg.
And what's the trip to Vegas?
It's a week in Vegas, flights and hotel.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
For one person, but the room's usually going to bring a second person.
Okay.
So, but there's no late rides, mate.